New business is super exciting, super hard, and it's the lifeblood of any agency. So you've really got to go all out on it.
Obviously, this show is all about marketing mistakes, and you're a bit of a black belt in the pitch scenario.
I think you got to say black belt in making mistakes then.
Yeah, are you a black belt in that?
We just called it then, and it's like, look, we tried something, it didn't work. You can go now if you want. We weren't sure whether you should leave the room or stay there and just witness the rest.
That's a proper walk of shame, isn't it? The magician leaves.
Have you ever spent weeks crafting a pitch brief only to end up drowning in underwhelming proposals? James Tomlinson has seen it all. Agencies burning time, clients frustrated by poor responses, and millions wasted because the brief was wrong right from the start. After 20 years running agencies, he's now the consultant brands call when their pitch process keeps failing. Welcome to Embracing Marketing Mistakes, the podcast that helps you grow your brand faster by learning from the world's top marketers' biggest mistakes. I'm Chris Norton, and my mission is to help you, the senior marketer, avoid the costly mistakes others have already made. Today's guest, James Tomlinson, is a management consultant who spent 2 decades leading agencies and now advises brands and in-house teams on how to run better pitches. He does other things as well. He's seen every kind of nightmare brief, from the vague and rushed to the ones written by AI. In this episode, James reveals how to structure a clear, transparent process, get genuine creativity from your agencies, and ensure you don't waste weeks on pointless chemistry meetings and unrealistic deadlines. James shares what makes a good agency relationship from day one, how to spot when an intermediary isn't being transparent, and why the words no budget, no pitch should matter to clients too. So sit back, relax, and let's hear how you can stop wasting time on bad pitches and start finding the partners who actually move the needle. Enjoy. James Tomlinson, welcome to the show.
Good to see you, Chris and Will.
Yeah, nice to get you on finally. So we met you a while ago, and you were giving like a workshop type thing to the PRCA, all the agencies in the PRCA up here in Leeds, which I'm going to be honest with you, it's the first time we've had something like that in Leeds, because most PRCA things happen in London. So it was quite refreshing, and to hear you what you do at your company. Do you want to explain a little bit about what you do today?
Well, I'm always happy to come to Leeds because my wife's from Wakefield, which is not too far away.
Oh, it's nice.
So yeah, it was good to be up there. I think that was back in March, April time, so long time ago now. So very simply, I set up my own consultancy at the beginning of the year, and I explained to people that I'm a management consultant for marketing agencies and in-house marketing teams. Prior to that, I was in agencies for 20 years, in managing director roles for 15 years, which we can come on to. So I've seen and done quite a bit across different sectors: corporate, consumer, geopolitical, PR, social, influencer content. And yeah, just thought I had really good experience of setting up businesses and growing them, and thought that's the thing that I really like doing. So I wanted to advise independent owners on how to do the same.
And what are sort of I mean, if you own an agency, what sort of difference do you bring to the party for somebody who owns it? What's the thing that you look at first to help them? What is it to exit? Is that what you really help, or are you helping them grow it, or is it all?
As you guys know, there are so many facets of running an agency, right?
Oh, it's easy, mate. It's absolutely easy.
Finance, new business, marketing, requests from staff to grant their 3-legged dog medical leave off work for a week. The list is endless. And yeah, I normally start just understand pain points and ambition, really. It might be that they've got a huge over-servicing rate. It might be that their margins are really low in their business. It might be they don't have a pipeline. They need to refresh their proposition because they're 10 years old, or launch new products and services. So really difficult to prescribe something straight away. but there's normally a way of finding a solution. And if I can't, as I said, I've been in the industry 20 years. I know very good people who are experts on certain topics.
So one of the things you spoke about when we met you before, which really kind of caught our imagination and our attention, was pitching. Now, anyone in an agency will know pitching is incredibly exciting, incredibly frustrating at times, hugely time consuming. You know, when you run a successful pitch, it can take weeks and weeks and weeks, can't it, from an agency perspective? And then sometimes you win it. I mean, hit rates, I don't know, 50. What's a kind of average success rate? About 50%.
Yeah, I would say it's always hard to give accurate success rates, because a lot of agencies either inadvertently lie, or or they qualify it in a slightly different way. So I would always see it very, black and white. If you attend a pitch, you're in the room, you measure your success rate based on that and any proposals that you send to clients, right? Because you want to know you're scoring for coming back and what you're putting out there. So there are two ways that you can improve your pitch rate. One is to go for less things and have a better qualifying process. The other is to really hone in on what you're doing. And I think everything from presentation skills to how you're laying the document out to how you're answering it. You mentioned it can take a few weeks. I think a lot of, the reporting in the industry and commentary is that it takes longer than a few weeks now. It's very hard to win pitches. There are more agencies than ever in the market. It's very saturated. Clients have got a lot more opportunity to shop around. New business is super exciting, super hard. And it's the lifeblood of any agency. So you've really, really got to go all out on it.
So if we kind of flip it on its head for a moment, there's a lot of brands listening to this, who will be probably planning a pitch in the next 12 months. From
none of our clients.
Yeah, that's him. So from a brand perspective, then obviously it's also really time consuming, isn't it? Writing a brief, probably having a chemistry meeting with 5-6 agencies. I mean, from that perspective, it can take hours and hours and hours as well. So how can brands run better pitches, I suppose, is my question, because, ultimately, they want to be confident the agency they're selecting is the best agency and an agency they can work with. So you must come across loads of kind of tender documents and things like that in your day-to-day role. So what are the mistakes you see companies making when they're putting together a pitch document in the first instance?
I do. A quick one and a very quick observation to talk about is the use of AI, right? To write RFP documents and pitch documents. That's becoming way more common. And you can, if you're going for a pitch document, in order to respond properly, you need to immerse yourself in it. You need to read between the lines of what the client's, saying or not saying. So it's really obvious when you're going through that process to see RFPs that are now written by AI. So that would be the first advice. Don't use AI to edit, amend, or write a pitch document. It needs to really come from the senior decision makers in the business, and you need to really clearly articulate exactly what you want and what you don't want. That would be my first observation.
And everyone within that company needs to be in alignment on a RFP or a tender when they're writing it, do they? Because again, we've pitched for work before, and it's been clear that the head of marketing has written it and the chief exec's not even seen it. And there's a massive misalignment there, isn't there?
Yeah, I would say all the senior decision makers need to be involved in it. The budget needs to be approved, and like in anything in life, you get out what you put in. If you put a half-baked brief out there, you're probably going to get a half-baked response. So I think, everyone needs to be aligned and just spend the time thinking it through really clearly on what you want and being as transparent as possible. And then from a client point of view, there's so many different stages of the process. Some clients don't know where to look to find agencies. There are so many agencies out there. Do you go to Google? Do you go to ChatGPT? Do you go to the PRCA website to look for latest award winners? Do you then go to people's websites? If so, what do you look for on their websites? How do you critique it? Do you go to LinkedIn? Do you see what they've posted? Do you go to their Instagram page to see what the culture's like? There's so much out there to try and find a good agency. So, if you don't know, referrals are obviously a great way to do. There's people in the industry who specialize in running, pitch processes. And it's important that if you're using intermediaries or individuals like that, they're running fair and transparent pitch processes. There's been, again, a lot written in PR Week, Campaign magazine about intermediaries effectively double dipping. So they will charge a client to run a pitch process, but they may also then charge a referral fee to the agency to make introductions.
That's terrible.
It's been something that's gone on for many years, decades probably, but really coming, to a head at the moment, just because new business is so emotional and people are agencies are going under as a result of not winning new business. So it's a very emotive topic that has come to a height. So selecting the right agency to shortlist, and using people to find the right agencies for our referrals is important.
How many on the shortlist then? I mean, Chris,
it's exactly what I was going to.
Yeah, no, I thought you were going to ask that, because we've some years ago we pitched for a very well known or rather we were involved in a tender for a very well known domestic tourism brand, and we pulled out when I think there's 12 agencies invited to pitch, and we pulled out straight away because it's absolutely ludicrous. Yeah. And that's clearly too many. And frankly, who's got time as a company to meet that many agencies? So how many is right in the first, because I guess companies want to initially speak to a few agencies, don't they? But then they kind of inevitably shortlist down to a few more. How many should they speak to? What's about right?
Yeah, really good question. I'll give a couple of examples of very competitive pitches that I know of, and also really good processes that have been run. And I'll give a plug to a good friend of mine called Alex Young. She used to run the PR and comms part of AAR for over a decade, I think. So, advise brands on running these pitch processes. She ran something for British Gas that I was involved with when I was the managing director of One Green Bean. It's probably a couple of years ago now. And the process was excellent, right? You had an initial chemistry session with the client. It was around Christmas time, and it was structured in a way that you had to do about 12 questions. It was a 12 questions of Christmas, I think. And then there was an exercise at the end, which was open-ended to show creativity and chemistry. And we opted to do a pantomime with the client. That our creative director did a brilliant job on scripting something, and we all had to read it out. And we brought in prompts and a bit of fancy dress. And remember, we had the corporate affairs director playing the role of a cow, and he was mooing, and it was brilliant, a lot of fun. The client really embraced it, and it was a great session. That they then shortlisted, I think it went 10 agencies to get creds, down to 6 agencies to do chemistry, down to 3 agencies to pitch, and that was a good process, and everyone knew what was going on throughout the process. Another good example was when we pitched to TJXE, which is the parent company that owns Homebase and TK Maxx.
Okay.
They got 4 agencies. They invited them all to their headquarters in, I think it was Watford, did an immersion day to meet the team. You spent a whole day there. The other agencies were there. You could go around the store, get to know the brand. and you could find out as much information as possible, which was fantastic. Ask questions. So it was super open and transparent. So they're two really good examples.
Was it not really awkward being like one of four agencies with all the other agencies, and was there a lot of like bigging up each other, like trying to outdo each other? I see that feels a bit. We once had a pitch for a big shopping centre, and we got called to it, and it was for the shortlist, I think, and there was about 8 agencies in there, including the incumbent that had been put up. And I remember it was so awkward because the incumbent was asking questions that they really should know. They were the incumbent, and everybody knew they were the incumbent. And we were all there as part of, the beauty parade of the different, and everybody was asking questions and trying to outdo each other. And it was just a bit. We find that really awkward. Often we don't. So the best ones you don't even have to pitch to. Usually you have to do a proposal. They know if they like you. They know if they want to work with you, and they've seen your work before. But in situations that you're talking about there with big pitches, that makes sense. Was it awkward or not?
No, I don't think it is awkward because, if you make it awkward, you're not going to win, right? Because clients are smart, and if they see an agency trying to throw another agency under the bus, or laughing and saying, "Oh God, that's a stupid question," they're just going to not want to work with you because they want people who are collaborative. They're going to work with their media agency, their advertising agency. So you just have to play it with a straight bat and be fair and transparent as the client's being. But yeah, back to your point about a long list. There's a pitch recently, which is an open tender. So I think about 28 agencies went for it, submitted proposals, and they were really, really detailed proposals. I know this because I know the client. And then they had 11 pitches, which, is a lot, each for an hour long.
You wouldn't even remember what the first pitch.
No,
thorough process. They had to do that because they're a government entity.
Right.
But you certainly wouldn't recommend that in the private sector. I think you want to have three people presenting pitches, maybe an absolute maximum of 4. But yeah, just work back from that really and work out, how wide you need to cast your net in order to get the free to pitch.
And I'm completely with you. The better the brief, and always include a bloody price, because we spoke to the guy from Frank PR who founded Frank, and he was like, he gave a story in a Pitch Nightmare, one of the PR Week conferences, saying that this client said to them, just with the budget, they were like, "What budget do you have? Budget parameters." We've got endless budget. We want creative ideas. This is a creative process. Yeah. Can you give us any sort of indication of budget? Just go with everything that you've got. So that they did. And they came back with this international PR campaign that was like 350,000 quid. And it was an amazing campaign. The client went, "Oh," and they presented it on. They loved it. And they were like, "We've only got 50,000. Yeah. We said, "Well, why didn't you tell us that at the beginning?" And then, from then on, he said, "I will never." We made it an issue. If there's no budget, we ain't pitching, which I thought was really interesting.
Oh, totally. I've for many years had a hard, fast rule of no budget, no pitch. And there are many polite and nice ways to go about asking a client for a budget, right? You can just say, is it possible to have a budget so I can prepare the best plan for you? I can tailor the creative ideas. I can identify if you've got third party costs. I really want to make sure you get the most out of this process. So please can you give me a steer? If the answer is no, you can say things like, "Okay, well, is it possible to give me an idea of what you spent in the last year so I can kind of compare it against that?"
Nice.
They may say no to that. In which case you're going to get further and further down where you're not quite giving them an ultimatum, but you're making it very clear that you can say things like, "Personally, I really want to go for this pitch. The brand is great. Really, I like the ambition of what you're trying to do. but my CFO, my big bad CFO, will not let me pitch if there isn't a budget. Can you please help me out? And there's probably 5 or 6 tricks that you can try to do to extract the budget. And if that's the case and you're still getting no, then it is a bit of a red flag. And my advice would be not to go for it.
So on the red flags then, so what other red flags do you see thinking from an agency perspective? So obviously a lack of a budget, big red flag. We're going to ask 20 agencies to pitch is possibly a red flag. What else kind of, should agencies watch out for and should brands be careful of?
I think junior clients issuing briefs, and then not letting you join a call with a senior client, and they keep it very, very guarded. I think that is a bit of a warning. Not always the case with this one, but maybe a new client, and this, may come across unfair, but a new client in a role, just need to be a little wary of. Obviously, new clients want new agencies, but sometimes they're looking for new ideas to bring to the party, and might not necessarily, have the sign off internally or have been there long enough to implement a change of agency. So that's something else to consider. And then, I guess going back to running a good process, if they're not defining a really good process where you can ask questions, you might be able to have a tissue session to sense check strategic or creative thoughts. If it's just, there's the brief, no other comms, turn up on this day, deliver a proposal on this day, then that's a bit of a red flag as well.
What about, this is a little bit how long is a piece of string, but we've had great briefs in and you get to the bottom of the brief, they want a proposal in 8 days. And it's just crazy, isn't it? Who can, these things take time. Clients need to be realistic, don't they, about how long to give agencies to respond? Is there a hard and fast rule as to how long they need to think?
Yeah, there will be. There's always exceptions to the rule, and not to contradict myself, but it may be that there's a fantastic, startup, it's got lots of, publicity around it. It's recently got funding. It genuinely doesn't know how much to spend on a PR or marketing campaign, and is looking for advice. And you might think, look, we've asked all these questions, but we still want to go for it. So that might be an exception, or it might be an amazing brand, and the budget could be quite low, but you just want to go for it because it's great for portfolio. So there's always exceptions. I think it's always amazing what you can do in 2 weeks, right? In an agency, when you're given that deadline. I think 2 weeks from having answered all of the questions and got all of the information to then pitch is okay. Ideally, you probably want a month where, you get the pitch, you then ask questions, you then do chemistry, you then might have a tissue, you then might pitch.
Yeah.
And for the bigger briefs, you'll probably get that time frame. So I'd kind of operate to those two things, a minimum of 2 weeks. And we had a phrase, I think our old CD or ECD used to use it. Do you want my first ideas or my best ideas? And the shorter the time frame, it goes back to what we were saying, the more limited the output is going to be, and if you want to find the best agency, you want the best work, then give them the time to think and let them show you what you can do.
I like the graphic that is a triangle, and it's time, quality, time, quality, and speed. I think it is. It's time, quality, and speed. It might be another one.
Time, quality, price. I think it might.
Price. Yeah, that's it. Speed, price, and quality. And so less money equals less quality. Quicker means less quality, and I just think that works. In terms of, obviously, this show is all about marketing mistakes, and you're a bit of a black belt in the pitch scenario.
I thought you were going to say black belt in making mistakes then.
Yeah, are you a black belt in that? I'm sure you've learned a lot from pitching. Have you had any mistakes that you've learned from while you've been pitching yourself?
Yeah, so many mistakes, and you always got to learn from your mistakes. I can think of 2 or 3 funny ones. So it ended up being a positive. So after 3 attempts to pitch to Intercontinental Hotel Group in their European comms team, we ended up winning business at one of my old agencies. But prior to that, I think it was the second time we pitched, I had this, what I thought was genius, but it's actually a terrible idea, to bring a magician in disguise into the pitch.
Okay.
And he was pretending to be, one of the team, account director. And then at one point in the presentation, we got to the press office part of it. It was quite early on, and we were talking about the target media they wanted to get in, and he's like, right, I'm now going to show you exactly how we're going to get you into the Financial Times or something along this. And stood up, and you've probably seen this on YouTube or something, where you rip up the paper, the Financial Times, you do it lots of little squares, and then you just go, and then, so they're watching this guy rip the Financial Times up and then blows it out and then sticks it back together again. And it's like a ta-da moment. It just was like a what the fuck moment.
They're like, what?
and then he had something else to do, and I was just like, I'm just going to call it. It obviously didn't work. We tried. The theme was around magic, like bringing the magic into something.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to ask what the relevance is.
Yeah.
They're like, the magic's great, but why?
Did he literally do it? And then he went, and then nothing happened, and it was like tumbleweed. Is that what happened? And you all sat there going,
pretty much.
Okay.
And we just called it then, and it's like, look, we tried something, it didn't work. You can go now if you want. We weren't sure whether you should leave the room or stay there and just witness the rest.
That's a proper walk of shame, isn't it? The magician leaves.
And that didn't work. We ended up getting lucky when we won it, because the next brief was around the influencer campaign, and we produced these little snippets from influencers saying we really want to work with IHG on this campaign, and so it was really, really nice show. We had a good network of contacts. And then the end one was Proudlock from Made in Chelsea, and the corporate affairs director and his wife watched that, and their favourite was Proudlock in it. So, oh my God, hearing that worked really well, and we ended up winning the business, which was good.
Nice.
That's making me cringe a bit thinking about that magician, even though I like the ambition.
I did. We also pitched a quick one to Screwfix once. So went up north somewhere, probably not as north as Leeds, but I'm from the south, so anywhere north of M25 is north for me. So we went to their headquarters, and we took up these really heavy proposals, right? And they were heavy because it was like back in the day where you needed to hand out readouts, and we've got sandpaper, this black sandpaper from Screwfix, and then had the logo and the title of the presentation like laser etched into this sandpaper, and it was the front and back cover of the proposal. So
that sounds quite nice.
Yeah, it looked really good. Right, really good. So got in, I laid them out on the big boardroom table. I stacked them up. I think there's about 8 high on top of each other. And the CEO comes in and is like, oh, exactly your reaction. Oh, this looks so good. Big table, so it was awkward. You couldn't quite pick them up. Tables here. So he drags them across this like really nice polished wood veneer table, and leaves like a snail trail where the proposals have sand in the boardroom.
Oh no, you're joking.
Yeah. But that went down fine. So it was a simple mistake, but that was a bit of a peace nightmare as well.
Right. And did you win that one?
We did, yeah, we did win that.
Yeah, you know what, right? Because a lot of the pitch nightmares, some of them are funny. Which is why I'm thinking of doing a pitch nightmares specific pod. But often it's the it's the fact that you're memorable, even if you fuck it up right royally. Because I've been in one, and I always do this story. But at the end of the pitch, luckily I was just the person. I was the account director from the Leeds office, but the London office were leading it. It was a big government thing, and we presented this thing on antisocial behaviour to the government. It was the Labour government at the time, and we finished pitching, and the client contact, who is now a dame and shall remain nameless. We were not. She didn't say it, but the guy next to her from the government. There was loads of them there. When I think your campaign fundamentally lacks credibility. And the room just went, all the oxygen from the room just went. And I remember thinking, shit, I am glad I am not answering any questions on this. And then instead of defending the response, which is what most people would do, go, hang on a minute, we've done it. Actually, the CEO played a blinder. He went, okay, I think we've actually missed, something here. We are really good at what we do, which is why you've got us in the room, And he got us to do a second pitch, and we won it. And I think that's because like you say, when you've got more than 4, or especially the governments that get loads of agencies in, you might have fucked something up, but they remember you, and you scraping the floor. I think maybe that's why you won it. I don't know.
Yeah. You've got to be memorable and human. You can rehearse to death before a pitch, and you just come across robotic. And you have to embrace, messing up. And, I think that's totally natural, and be honest about it. And, just correct it. Don't worry about stuttering or forgetting your lines. People want to see that they're going to be working with people, not these robots.
Is that kind of theatrical side of it? I know, I mean, when we spoke with Andrew Block on a previous pod, he was sort of talking about, didn't he have an ambulance that he used to do pitches in his office or something? Yeah. And that's, particularly the kind of consumer shops, that's really that, you hear a lot of that kind of really going the extra mile and doing these kind of almost experiential kind of pitches. Is that important, or is it a kind of, I suppose putting, is it just about memorability,
Yeah, it is important, but I think in 2025, 2026, you've got to do it for the right client, right? So I'll give you 2 examples. Going back to one of the brands I mentioned earlier, I won't mention who. They told us that they said no to an agency at chemistry stage when they came to their office because they'd put out, balloons and props and stuff. And they were very big into sustainability. So, using, plastic, that wasn't going to be reused was a big no-no for them. So, think that element of it through, and think it from all bases. And then on the flip side, I can remember pitching to Air France KLM. Really, really good client. This is probably 7 or 8 years ago. A brand that most agencies want to work with. So when they came into our office, we had, the correct term from the poles with the loops, the chains, like you get at an airport when you're queuing up.
Yeah.
Bit of a blue carpet going into the meeting room. When we were in the meeting room, we had sofas kind of set out like an airport lounge. We had magazines on the rack, plants and coffees and stuff. And the receptionist on the building gave them the room details and the pitch agenda on the boarding cards that they came into the room. So we'd set it up for them like it was a bit of an airport lounge, and that worked really good. The design of the presentation, the breaker slides were like the ticket tacker boards at airports. And we won that pitch. That was a really good pitch. So I remember pitching to another client. We knew it was the day after their Christmas party. So we didn't, no big theatre or anything, just little sort of token gesture. We provided them with like Alka-Seltzer and Barocca, and had like a few little hangover kits just in the meeting, and just said, look, if you're feeling, made a joke out of it, if you're feeling rough after your party, hope you had a good night, then help yourself to those. I was like, oh my God, I need that. Yeah, thank you.
I've read, back in the heyday of Saatchi and Saatchi, I used to read about, some of the stunts they used to pull. So I think it was, they were pitching for, BA. And at the time, BA's, customer service was considered really poor, and the cabin crew were considered quite obnoxious and things. And basically, they
left them in reception. Did it?
And then someone served them drinks and spilt the coffee all over the table. There's all this stuff, and then the payoff was, this is what consumers think about you. And I think they did another one is for British Rail at the time, and they did the pitch in a cinema, but basically kept them waiting like 45 minutes, and everyone was just about to get up and leave. Yeah. And then they were like, this is what your customers feel like because your trains are always late.
Yeah,
and it's so bold, isn't it? I mean,
that is
that is brave. Yeah. That is brave, isn't it?
Yeah.
To win the pitch.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks for coming on the show, James. If people want to get hold of you, how do they get hold of you? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so go to my website, sprintpartners.co, or just look for me on LinkedIn. Probably easiest way. James Tomlinson with a H, on LinkedIn. Always happy to jump on the call and answer any questions. But yeah, thank you for having me.
No.
And look forward to catching up with you guys soon.
Definitely. Actually, I've forgotten to ask you one question, which is, you've been on the show now, and you know what it's like. If you were us, who was the next person you would have on this show, and why?
I would have a brand, so they can give you the alternative perspective. To me,
yeah.
No, that's my response to being put on the spot. I think someone in AI. Everyone's talking about AI. Someone who is a real industry leader and can talk about practical tips for using AI day to day, or what the future is. I think people are interested in both those topics. I was actually at an event this week called Festival of New Business, and there was a surprisingly good, he was quite divisive, but a surprisingly good speaker there called George King. And he's famous because he scaled the Shard, right?
Oh yeah, I remember him.
Scaled the Shard. And didn't really know why he was there, but then he spoke about being fearless, being disciplined, leave no stone unturned in your preparation, and he applied it to new business and pitching. He was good.
That's true.
Yeah, maybe have a look at those.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, that was great. Thanks for that, James.